But let's look at something else, connection. And we are glad to have our CEO and founder of Career Connections. And I know you'll be asking me, Lydia, let's have her number. She has all the careers to connect us. Oh, really? I want you to listen to her. Because when you listen, then you are getting the real connection. You are getting to know what she does, her passion, and what will make you remain connected in your career. Please, Madeleine, talk to us.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, and maybe, for some of you, good morning. My name is Madeleine Dunford, and we happen to be camping out in our boardroom at Career Connections here this afternoon. It's really nice to be with Joshua, to be with Flora, because these are both executive coaches trained through Career Connections. So I wanted to spend a moment with you to talk very specifically about mindset shift, about career tips and career transitions. So a couple of slides, I hope they're going to work. So welcome to Career Connections. And much like Flora, I was an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur from a very young age, a third generation East African family. I came back after doing a couple of degrees. I was 24, and no one would give me a job. I probably wouldn't have employed myself, to be honest. So you look around, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how this has grown from one small idea that I had into the largest talent consulting firm in East Africa, working with the largest banks, insurance firms, telcos, and airlines in the region now for more than 20 years. In fact, I've been doing this game, playing this game for 28 years. Here's some of the things that we do here at Career Connections, and our purpose is to bring people to life at work, which I think is very apt because you're needing to find that connection and passion to your work again. But I wanted to take a moment just to appreciate where we're at in the development sector. And when I thought about that transition that you're currently faced by and the dauntedness that you must feel, this quote came to mind. This is by Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps in the Second World War. And he said that everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of humans' freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way. And I think today this is just an acknowledgement that you still have that choice. You are really at this moment of reflection to still appreciate you can choose your way. And we recognize that this is an emotional and professional disruption. Many of you have invested skills, qualifications, years of experience into the development sector, and it's a deeply personal career point. It can shake, as Joshua said, your identity, your purpose, your plans, and you might be feeling very disoriented and anxious right now, and that is valid. I think it's particularly unfair, and I would say unhumane, that we are faced with this situation in a sector that is known for its compassion and for helping other people in need and other sectors in need. So it's not just an impact to you as a group, but much wider to those that needed the help. At the same time, it's important that transitions can also serve as powerful launch pads for growth. I had actually qualified thinking I was going to join the UN. So it's about taking a moment, regrouping, and finding opportunities. So this moment holds the potential to redirect your path in a meaningful and perhaps surprising way. Thank you for sharing the story about salt. I actually remember the salt. And it's fantastic to see what huge range of products you now have in any big supermarket, and it all came from simple table salt, the cheapest, most basic ingredient you can think of. This session isn't about false optimism. I'm going to be covering some practical tools, mindset shifts, positioning strategies to help you move forward with purpose. Our goal is to help reposition you, define your narrative, see the opportunities embedded in this disruption you're faced by. And I think your development experience is a competitive advantage if it's framed appropriately. I want you to remember something. We as Career Connections, you'll have seen on the previous slide, we have an executive search division. We know what employers look for. They look for your skills, but they also look for your attitude. They look for your mindset. They look for your energy, and they will be looking at how you show up in this time of uncertainty, because the whole world is becoming more unpredictable. So how you cope with that ambiguity will tell them a lot about you. So let's talk about your skills. You already have perhaps more than you're appreciating, and these are things you now need to sing about in your LinkedIn profile. These are transferable technical and soft skills that employers across the board will be looking for. Things like project management, reporting and compliance, monitoring and evaluation, stakeholder engagement, cross-cultural communication, and team leadership. These are things, no matter what sector you're trying to position yourself into, will be in demand. But one thing you need to know is that you need to learn a new language, because not every sector understands the development sector language. And you need to focus on your CV and your LinkedIn on the impact and outcomes of your work, not just your titles and not the donors that you were affiliated with. So you need to swap your jargon, sorry to say, swap the jargon and away from, we give you an example here, towards how did that align with return on investment. Your whole story matters. Your development experience becomes a competitive advantage. It will show adaptability, strategic thinking, results-driven mindsets, qualities that all sectors look for. And there are many other ways that you can keep building your skills. You can volunteer. You can work for charities on their boards, for instance, or just volunteer. All of those is building your skills and experience to showcase things like leadership, planning, and of course, you can find that small idea like table salt and become an entrepreneur as well. So, let's talk about the future-focused in-demand competencies. This is according to the World Economic Forum. And as I look at that table, I'm sure many of you can equate with many of the things here today. We're talking about resource management, quality, talent management. We're talking about technologically being literate, understanding AI and data. That is really a skill you to stretch yourself towards. Networking, cybersecurity, design, programming, analytical thinking, creative thinking, systems, multilingualism, basics, reading, maths, writing, being service-oriented, having a customer service attitude, understanding marketing, media, showing resilience even in this time when you are challenged. Show that you are resilient, flexible, agile, self-motivated, self-aware. That's huge in terms of take time to understand yourself. Show that you have the innate initiative to keep going. Be curious. Learn constantly. The internet is full of learning for you. Show that you're dependable and have attention to detail. And leadership skills, obviously influencing, empathy, listening, teaching, mentoring, and then the bigger, broader systemic areas around ethics, environmental, and global citizenship. So I'm sure as you look at this table, you will be thinking, I know some of this, I've done some of this. Don't forget soft skills. So you have come from compassionate areas. Remember to keep that and build that empathy and connection. Those are essential leadership traits. Perhaps you want to consider being coached. to help you surface your blind spots and clarify your purpose. From your purpose can come the seed of where your career can take you next. Become a coach, perhaps, to monetize your strengths and people skills, and get an assessment done to identify strengths and stretch areas so that you can also prepare to be assessed, because that is the world of employment at the moment. And I'll take personal responsibility, having introduced psychometrics to the region 28 years ago. But most employers will use a form of assessment now. Let's talk specifics. Let's actually get practical. So firstly, you're not starting over, you're redirecting and looking for new opportunities, okay? And so repositioning is about your mindset, it's about your messaging. So think of this as a strategic pivot, not a reset. You're not going back to zero at all. Value your experience. It's relevant across different sectors. Take this time to really research and reflect. Where are the opportunities? Maybe you have a passion area you've been doing for free. I know many people. I know a banker who left banking to start a cake baking company. That was her passion, and now she has a business. So where are the passions that you can make a career of? What niches, what gaps do you see? So as I was 24, with no one to give me a job, in the UK, I'd come across this idea of a psychometric test. I'd seen psychometric reports, and I thought, I can't see anything like that in Kenya. So I went back to do some qualifications with the British Psychological Society, as well as just to certify in one assessment tool. And that's what I brought into the market, and that's how the company started, with one assessment tool. So let's get clear on where you're going. Start researching the sectors you might love to engage with. Research how they communicate. How do they measure success? How do they describe roles? Tailor your CV and your pitch, and use examples from their sector. Use their language. 72% of hiring managers say that they're more likely to hire a candidate who has a well-written summary of their skills and experience. That is 2 pages max. In my experience, that's a big difference between development sector and corporate. That in development sector, you find very long CVs. So you have to become disciplined in that way. And reposition, update your LinkedIn. Please, I'm surprised that people will be on LinkedIn with 2 connections. Please use that tool. Highlight your outcomes, your leadership adaptability, and of course, explore consulting, project-based roles. Stay active. Let's talk about LinkedIn. We have a team here of 7 full-time recruiters at Career Connections, working with the largest entities, corporate mostly, in the region. And I can tell you 90% of recruiters now just use LinkedIn to vet and find their candidates. So you need to optimize your profile with a clear headline, outcomes-focused summary, and keywords that actually meet your target sector. Join sector-specific groups, follow their thought leaders, comment meaningfully on their posts to increase your visibility on LinkedIn. Network with intention. You cannot just network now in the development sector, because the whole sector is going through such upheaval. So what that means is you need to connect with people outside of the sector. Use your family, use your church and community groups, your faith groups, whatever it might be. But talk to people, tell them the position you're in. Use alumni networks, associations, and communities, because you know what? Talking to everyone you know right now is critical, because 80% of positions are never advertised. 65% are filled purely by word of mouth and referrals. So that could be you. You might not know there's opportunities unless you start talking and networking. And of course, get ready for your interviews. And the way that organizations will interview now is to use the STAR process of explain a situation, what exactly did you do, What are the actions? What were the results? And here, think through your past experience to show competency examples of the competencies you know the role you're targeting will need. So when you look at a role or you consider a role, start to think what competencies are going to be critical here, and you start to plan for the questions they're likely to ask you. Of course, keep an eye on all the other job platforms that you can come across within the region and beyond, because a lot of virtual work is real now. At Career Connections, we have been helping people to find their career paths for many years, and that's actually where the name also came from. We can't find you a job, but we can help you get ready to find a job. And when Coca-Cola Africa downsized dramatically in this region 25 years ago, we were the organization helping to outplace their talent. So we have a 10-week program called Be Bold. It's a guided journey of self-discovery to build your confidence and your agility to navigate this career change. It's a blend of structured learning, reflection, tools, with intent towards your career development. You're going to start with self-assessment and coaching tools. There'll be live, expert-led webinars, practical guidance, learning journals, and there'll be career conversations, deep dive resources for you to explore, peer networking opportunities as well. And the Career Pulse assessment that we use here focus on 7 critical career skills: the ability to stretch yourself, to adapt, to network, to reflect, to know yourself, to spot opportunities, and to build brand, your own personal brand. We add support to this Be Bold program by also access to highly accredited coaches that you can take some 3 transition or career coaching sessions with. So the info email is there for you. Some of the clients globally for the Be Bold program, that's BMW and BBC and many others you will have heard of. And locally, we have been working with organizations, as I mentioned, Coca-Cola and Citi, to help their impacted staff members in past changes. So I would like to hand back to our moderator. I hope that's been engaging for you, some new ideas for you. And remember, you have the last of human freedoms to decide your own way from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is quite a journey. If you are listening, you can see great strides start with one little step. And this step has to be made in a bold way. Just at a young age, with big dreams and nobody to employ, she created employment for many people. And we are seated in a very beautiful boardroom that house Career Connections. And with that, it means that your step could be today. Madeleine talked about mind shift. Your step and a mind shift would be today. Small ideas like Flora, from salt to tea leaves. I mean, that is just a whole dimension, from salt to tea leaves. But you see, what is needed? What do households need? And Madeleine has talked about your capability. What is it that you have to retailor again, to realign? How do you change what you've had to realign with what is needed? Adaptability.